one of the great, like you're talking about tracing, right? Which is why I popped this photo up. So me, I am not a illustrator, but I used to be.
Well, see, I'm tracing my own artwork, so
yeah,
I don't count that as cheating.
Yeah. So when I was like in '94, right, when I got into art school, my first year of art school, right, I actually had an accident where on a dance floor. I was drunk and fell back on glass. So my right hand, my dominant hand, which would like seriously was very, I would say I would class myself as a very, say, medium plus illustrator, right? I could draw you this very, very well. Sorry, it's the backside of him, of Wolverine. Like earlier on, I would.
You'd probably make a lot of money drawing that.
Yeah, and I used to do like A2 size Wolverine with shades, and I would paint it. Right, this is how good I was at that. And so once I had that, I just went for 3 months. I just lost interest in drawing. It was just like it just went out of my head, and I just couldn't get back into it. I used to do Iron Maiden, right? I used to do really good Iron Maiden and illustrations, all that, and I was really good at it. Shadowing, perfect, like serious, like freaking good. I would like class myself. But that's what got me into art school, by just showing my work, like sketches and stuff. However, now as a writer, I get to work with amazing creatives and illustrators like Shane and like so many others. And so what I do is I find pencils or blue ink and images out there of other characters, CGI positions, and then I will go and do this. I will go and change it around, give my own creativity into it. I'll put the logos how I want it. I'll change the design, and then I'll offer that up to the artist and go, "This is what I want to look like," and so on. So this is one of our creations from my creation from a series I'm calling the Blackbirds, and this is Blackbird herself. It's the thing is, like, there's Blackbird and there's Magpie, and there's a blackbird in the world that has those colors: yellow, red, and orange, yellow, orange, and black. And then you have another one. Let me see if I can find, which is called and that's traced, by the way. That's the importance of what I'm trying to show there. It's traced.
Right.
And then I've imposed my own little thing onto it, same as I've done here. Right? I've taken this character and someone else has done the pencil work, but I've gone and put Magpie logo. I've designed the logo itself. I've done the icon on it, so that each side you can see that.
But you're just using it as a character sheet, aren't you? You're not saying this is original artwork and I do this and I'm great.
Yeah, because someone amazing was talented. Yeah. So same thing. Yeah, concept, right? Yeah, design work. So you can see here what Magpie would look in different positions, so that if I give it to Shane, I go, "Hey Shane, this is what he looks like." You get an idea without me going, "Oh, dude, like, what did you mean by this here? What do you mean by that?" I go, "This is what when he stands this way, this is the orange way on his, like, here, right on his side. When he's there, whoops, give me this one here. So when you see this, right, you see what he's going to look like that way, and you're going to see there's an M on his, on the black cape, and you're going to see how when he's moving, what it's going to look like, and then I do a close up, right, of the claws, like what he's wearing. And by the way, this is something I actually wear on my hand all the time, a glove, because of my injuries and whatever. And so and then I designed the Magpie on the logo and stuff, the helmet. But these are not my original drawings, and because that's the joy of having an artist visualize and add their own thing to it. And a lot of times people, when they poo-poo art, like comic artists, I just get pissed off at it, because I know what they.
I think that's quite common as like a concept art technique. Like you look at Weta, they'll photo bash stuff together, particularly sort of earlier on in sort of their kind of design phase. And but as long as this isn't ending up on the page or the movie screen or whatever, I think it's completely fine. I'm guessing you would give that to an artist, and then he would do like a character sheet, and then so that's fine.
Because I'm not trying to own it. Yeah, I'm not trying to own it, you know, but you look at all the, like, what you can do with that when you do that. Like, I was just looking at this. I hadn't seen this, looked at this for about a year or two since I created it. But like, you know, you look at how you can mess with it because you can see the position of the original artist of the anatomy, right? Of how the leg space, and I can show how this moves over here and goes up there on the side, and you can go turn around here. Now, if I wasn't, you know, if I was just someone who didn't do this, I would have a real hard trouble of trying to describe. You know, I'll be like doing like usually what I do is, you know, like on paper, I was like, I'll suck at it now because I haven't spent 20 years since I had my injury on it. It's actually been 20 years, 24. Yeah. You know, 20 years of not actually illustrating, you know, and, but like having amazing illustrators out there. I mean, those poses are friggin' amazing. You look at that middle pose at the top there, just under the magpie logo, friggin' hell. That's a classic, amazing pose, like this one here.
Yeah.
You know, look at the, like, what is that called? Depth of field, where the backhand is smaller than the front. And then even here, the back leg here, like the right, left leg is like the position. It's great anatomy, man. Yeah. You know, the way you guys.
Sorry to interject. Do you usually do that, Aru, when you're obviously mainly a writer now? Do you, are you kind of creating sort of the main design of the characters all the time, or do you sort of leave that to the artist?
No. I want to own 100% of what my character is going to look like. So I'll show you some other stuff.
Gotcha.
Now, when it comes to my there's certain things I don't do that with. Not every, like the Robot Nation comic that we've got out now. So if I'll show you this one here. So I don't, with, let's say this here, right? I don't, let me just pop it up. So I don't do that with Robot Nation because Robot Nation is a partnership, kind of like a partnership between me and Francisco, who's an Italian artist. And I know his work. So I just tell him, you know, sometimes I'll send him photos of people and I'll say, this is kind of like, this is the character. All right. So you can see here, right? You know, this, especially here, right? I'll just go this, and he'll do the rest. I'm not going to impose on him what he wants to do, but I'll also say it's New Zealand. And I'll go give images to him and say, these are the images I want in the background, right? Nikau and all that stuff. And like, so it looks like New Zealand. Otherwise, what's the point of placing a story in New Zealand if I doesn't see that? However, if I go and do something like that is that one. So if I go and do, come back here, come down, Bobo. So if I go and give him Bobo, right, which is a pencils, so which is a sci-fi story set in the future in space. So I let him, you know, I'll tell him a couple things, but I don't, you know, like I'll say, oh, I want this and I want this and I want this, but I won't impose on him how that thing looks. I'll just, you know, and it's a choice, right? It's a choice. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, depending on how I feel it should be to the story. You know, like you've got here, it's a spaceship, you can close up and I go, this is what it is. And, you know, and he'll have a go at it and give me, you know, something like a, you know, like what I'm asking for. But I won't, you know, I'm not going to like push that on him because, to be honest, he's a good artist in that sense. And plus, this isn't something that I'm trying to control because we're doing a lot of unique little stories, you know, vignettes of stories. So I'll go, I want to use one this on letters, you know, like letters on the wings. I want to represent New Zealand. I'll, you know, so I will go in and say, hey, you know what? Let me just find the right one. That one. So, you know, like here, you'll see NXX, you know, NZX, you know, and stuff like that. And, but I didn't tell him how, this is what it should look like, the spaceship. I wanted him to do, you know, bring his imagination to his characters. I would say, like, so this one here, he blew this, you know, this whole area out of the park because, you know, I just said like it was like a landing, you know, platform for, you know, with all these things chatted about. But then he goes and does this. Sorry, but you can't see it, but it's hiding behind the friggin'. That's why he's going around it, because it's hiding behind the camera stand. But like, you know, the joy is like, this is like my, if you really want to say what it was like, I mean, if you want to ask me what it's about, it's like, it's my Judge Dredd 2080 love, right, for comics. This is where it comes into. It's like kind of like not a tribute, but like that in my head, and from my 80s kid, you know, going into space. I take this little boy here, you know, into space with his parents and all that stuff, and it's the joy of that. And so, you know, but then I'm going, I do something very different as well, which is if I'm doing something, let me find the right one here because there's so many.
Let me ask Shane. I mean, you know, we started sort of talking about kind of character design and you know the sort of design phase. You know, how do you sort of approach kind of coming up with your characters? Is it I mean, that's a very that's always a hard question to ask. Where do your ideas come from? But you know, take me through a little bit about your process and sort of, is there sort of a kind of an approach that you have, or is it very sort of natural? You're waiting to be inspired. Just sort of go into that a little bit.
For the Wasteland characters, it was quite natural because whenever I'm bored, I sit down and draw people in my sketchbook. One of the major things I draw is character faces or heads. I don't really sit around drawing scenery or you know, like bowls of fruit or anything. If I'm bored, I normally draw a cartoon head or a cartoon character. And there were several characters in my sketchbook that I just keep going back to. Right. I just like the look of. And I literally, I went, this guy would make a good villain. This guy would make a good hero. And
okay. So you'd kind of made this sort of cast sort of inadvertently, and then you connect the dots.
I've got casts for a sort of space opera too that I've done on and off for about 5 or 6 years. I seem to have a couple of characters that just keep popping back up. So the Dodge character and the villain, they kind of just keep popping up in different forms. And then I figured I like drawing these two, so these two would make good characters for a certain book. I've got another character that I don't have the sketchbooks with me, but there's a character with a kind of an Elvis haircut, and he's got a big chin, like a big goofy over the top chin. And I always imagine him being in a cheesy space comic.
Is it kind of like that one from Family Guy who's got like a...
Pretty much, yeah. But I've been drawing them on and off for about 20 years. So I've got this kind of sci-fi character that I might do after I finish these 4.
Awesome. Can't wait. Yeah.
So there might be a one-off.
Okay. That's interesting. So because that's interesting. I've never heard someone sort of do it that way. What would you say sort of makes the, you know, so you're in your spare time, you're conceptualizing these characters, what, you know, and then after they're sort of made, then you kind of go, hey, this one's interesting. Is there anything that kind of, what makes them pop or sort of stand in your mind as sort of something that you utilize later on in a story?
To be honest, I don't know. It's just some of them you just, when you flick through your sketchbooks, you go back to them again and again. Because a lot of the time you look at your old art and you go, Jesus, that's shit. Even if it's not, but then you flick through it and you'll find something and go, I like that one. And then you'll go, I've got like 20 years worth of sketchbooks. I'll find another sketchbook that's 2 years newer and it will have the same character. And then I'll find another one that's got a similar looking character. It's like, and then I like the space guy. I've even found ones where I was writing down different names for him and coming up with his teammates. So for whatever reason, I must have been watching some cheesy sci-fi or whatever, and I started thinking about that one. But I went with the Wastelands first because I grew up on Mad Max and post-apocalyptic movies. So that story came into my head a lot quicker.
And that's what happens, right? That's why I was like, I'm doing this friggin' Robot Nation series because of 2000 AD. If I'm being honest, it's Star Trek and 2000 AD, right?